ॐ विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यन्निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिर्बोधभूतं यथा निद्रया यः साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्रचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यपि महायोगीव यस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ। Verse 22. अन्तर्बहिर्वा सर्वं वा यं देशं परिकल्पयेत् बुद्धिस्तद्देशगः साक्षी तथा वस्तुषु योजयेत्. So Vidyaranya has given a homework to the student that what is the location of a Sakshi. And instead of answering directly, Vidyaranya gave this experiment. So when a person stops knowing operation, you can take it as a silence. Knowing operation stops for a yogi in a nirvikalpa samadhi. Knowing operation stops in a deep sleep state for the ordinary person. So a state of silence, you can say. So when a person stops knowing operation, this triputi, this pramata, pramanam, prameyam, etc., that's a triputi, is resolved. Knowing operation is these three results. Knowing operation resolves means these three results. So Sakshi of Triputi will be left out naturally. So Vidyaranya requests to students, so stop all knowledge operation, resolve Triputi, and now then Sakshi is left behind. At that time, you look for the locus of the Sakshi. And wherever you find that Sakshi is located at that time, that you mark it. I mean, you understand it as a locus of a Sakshi. So, Buddhyadi Ashesha Samshantau Satyam in 20th verse. I am just a little repeating because after a long time we are again starting. So, Buddhyadi Ashesha Samshantau. Wherever the Triputi is subsided, Yatra Bhati, where this Sakshi shines, wherever the Sakshi shines, that is the locus of a Sakshi. And then in verse 21, the first line is an answer of a student to Vidyaranya, to the teacher. And then teacher says something in the second line of the verse 21. So what is the report of a student? Kaha api kopi deshaha na bhaset. When Triputi is resolved in the state of a silence, etc., that's called nirvikalpaka avastha. The vikalpa means this Triputi. Nirvikalpaka avastha, it could be a deep sleep state, or it could be a samadhi or any other thing. So in that Sakshi, Sakshi is present in that avastha. So means in that you ask me, O teacher, that I should at that time I should locate the Sakshi, but I am not able to locate the Sakshi because kopi deshaha na bhaseta. Because you ask me to locate Sakshi, but the location is always in terms of the space. But very space itself doesn't shine in the state of silence. Then how will I locate Sakshi in space? The very space doesn't shine in that state of silence, could be, let us say, our deep sleep state, then if the space itself I am not able to locate, there is a question of locating Sakshi. There is no question of locating Sakshi. So, kopi deshaha na bhaset. Space itself is not experienceable. Then how can I talk about to you about the location of the Sakshi? Well, Vidyaranya says, Yadi, if that is your report, it's a correct report. So that is what he said. So, Yadi Tarhi. Well, so then, so this is a correct report of you. Sakshi doesn't have any location. Sakshi doesn't have a Desha Sambandha. Anything which is connected to space has a location. Which is not connected to space cannot be located. So definitely Sakshi has no connection to the Desha, no connection to the space, no connection to time, no connection to anything. Therefore, because there is nothing other than Sakshi, we know very well, but I'm just reminding you. So, and therefore, if Sakshi has no connection to the space, and therefore in absence of space, I cannot locate that Sakshi in a particular place. So if Sakshi is located in space, what will happen? You know very well. Whatever is located in time, if time resolves, that thing resolves. Same way, if Sakshi is located in space, if space resolves, that thing also will resolve. What is connected will also resolve. And therefore, then Sakshi will go away if space resolves. But even after resolution of the space, Sakshi continues. Well, it indicates that Sakshi is locationless. In other words, we can say Sakshi is spaceless. But here we are especially trying to find the location of Sakshi, etc. So, well, it is Sakshi is locationless. Means Sakshi is nowhere. In other words, no location means nowhere. Not here, not there, not etc. anywhere else. So that's the right answer. But this answer no one will like. Sakshi is nowhere. Anything which is nowhere is non-existent. And therefore, the teacher has to modify the answer. And that modified answer is given here itself. And that Sakshi is basically everywhere. That's a compromise answer. Because generally, when it is said Sakshi is nowhere, one can misunderstand, student can misunderstand. And therefore, definitely the compromise answer has been given here. Sarvadesha prakluptya eva, from the eva. So from the standpoint of the space, which is experienced by the mind, projected by mind, the answer is given that Sakshi is everywhere. Sakshi is said to be sarvagatvam. There are two words. Sarvagatatvam also could be right. But instead of sarvagata word, they have used here sarvaga and made an abstract noun called sarvagatvam. So Sakshi is said to be everywhere. That is a compromise answer. You can say Sakshi is said to be everywhere figuratively. Swataha means from Sakshi's own standpoint, natu sarvagatvam. It can't be said as everywhere. It is nowhere. It is nowhere where means what? It is the very locus of the space. Sakshi is not located in space because not connected to the space. In absence of space, Sakshi remains. Therefore, Sakshi is spaceless. But so Sakshi is not located in space. The very space is located in Sakshi. And that has been explained very beautifully in this verse 22. What it says, Buddhihi desham parikalpayet. Well, mind experience is very beautiful. This chapter is an extraordinary chapter. Buddhihi desham parikalpayet. Mind experience the space as what? So, buddhi desham is space. Parikalpayet means experiences, projects rather. So, mind basically projects the space. How? Antaha bahihi desham. So, mind projects the space outside and inside. Outside the body and inside the body. when it is functional. Mind projects the space outside the body and inside the body, while the mind is functional. And that's how in waking state we know. So during this Triputi operation, so very space during this active state, well, space is inside. Right now we all are in a waking state. So you can very well say space is outside, space is inside also, you know very well. So, and space is everywhere. This is the job of the mind. Projecting space, please understand, projecting the space inside, outside, everywhere, etc. is a job of the mind. What is the job of the Sakshi? Job of the mind is over. Projecting space inside, outside, everywhere. What is the job of Sakshi? Sakshi is also present inside, outside. Tad deshagaha it says. So, how is that Sakshi present? Well, as the very illuminator of inside and outside space. The inside space is illumined? Yes. Oh, Sakshi is right there. Outside space is illumined? Yes. So, Sakshi is right there. So, mind projects space inside, outside, etc. And Sakshi, well, what is the job of Sakshi? Sakshi's job is to illumine that space, inside, outside space. To illumine that space, that is the job of Sakshi. So, and just illumination or something else? No. Well, it is Adhishthanam of that space also. Adhishthanam means basically which lends existence. That's called Adhishthanam. That's it. So, or which, whatever borrows existence we call Adhyasa, Adhyaropa. And this is Adhisthana. Adhisthana is which lends existence. So, simple example is snake borrows existence from the rope. So, snake is Adhyaropa. And the Rajju, the rope, lends existence is called Adhisthana. So, Sakshi not just illumines the space which is inside, outside, which is projected by the mind, but Sakshi also is a Adhishthanam, well, of the space, entire space, whatever, inside, outside, everywhere. So, Sakshi is present wherever the space is, well, the Sakshi also is present because the space is illumined and therefore Sakshi must be there. So, if Sakshi is the Adhishthanam, present everywhere, this is to be little understood. So, when I say Sakshi is in space, it is not located in space, but it is the locus of the space. Like we can say, see, this book is present wherever where the desk is. You can say, suppose book is lying on the table, you say book is where the table is. Okay, and you understand that book is located on the desk. When the desk is removed, of course, the book is automatically removed. So, and because that is meant by this location. But when I say space is where the desk is, please understand, book is where the desk is. There your understanding is very clear that the book is located on the desk. Because you know, if the desk is removed, the book automatically is removed. That's fine. Now, what about the space? Space is where the desk is. Suppose you say, well, in that case, space is not located on the desk, unlike that book. So, book is where the desk is a one type of equation. Space is where the desk is another type of equation. Book is where the desk is, you understand very clearly, book is located on the table. Where the space is where the desk is, well, it's a different type of equation. Well, space is present along with the desk. Well, the difference is both exist, book existing along with this desk and space existing along with the desk. Desk is removed, book is removed. Desk is removed, space is not removed. That's the thing. So, even though we use this kind of a sentences, book is where the desk is, space is where the desk is, but there is a big difference. Book is located on the space. How can you prove it? Well, if you remove the desk, book is also removed. But the space is where the desk is. Even though desk is removed, space is not removed. and therefore space is located on the desk, in the desk, whatever. That's not a correct answer. So Sakshi basically means space won't be removed. So Sakshi is along with the space, but Sakshi is not located in the space. Could you follow now? So that is a thing. So space. So when we say Sakshi is where the space is, because as space shines naturally, if space shines, that's on account of Sakshi, and therefore Sakshi must be there where the space is. And therefore you say where the if Sakshi is where the space is, fine. But what we are doing is that is the thing. Sakshi is everywhere. That compromise answer is being explained now. So Sakshi is where the space is, but we should understand very clearly that Sakshi is not located in space. Even though space is when the space is removed, Sakshi is removed. No. In fact, it's everyone's experience. When the space resolves, Sakshi shines very well. So that everywhere, it means what? It is along with the space, but not located in the space. In fact, space is located in Sakshi. Please understand this very well. This is everyone out of the entire Vedanta circle, only in my approximation 2 to 3% people may be doing this Dhyasanam. In this 2 to 3% also, many people are very confused about. Everyone is trying to locate Brahman, Sakshi, Atma, etc. and to experience it that way, to objectify. Anything which you objectify definitely has a location. Anything has a location. And therefore, kindly don't do this. So, even though we use this word, Sakshi is everywhere. So, definitely we are taking into account now space. But please understand, Sakshi is where the space is. Everywhere means where the space is. But definitely, if the space is removed, Sakshi is not removed. Therefore, Sakshi is not located in the space. Well, in fact, the space is the located in the Sakshi, or Sakshi is a locus, adhishthan of the space. On account of Sakshi, space shines inside, outside, anywhere, and on account of the Sakshi, while being adhishthanam, space has existence. And it is also very simple to understand. Everything resolves into something which is not resolved. If everything resolves where? What is left? That's where it resolves. Yeah. So clay, the parts resolve where? Well, it resolves into adhishthan called clay, which lends its existence. Therefore, whole creation resolves in a deep sleep state. Time, space and everything resolves. What is left over? Well, which is not resolved. That's where it has everything must have resolved. Anyway, it cannot resolve anything else, anywhere else. So, this is the difference between the world being located in the space and Sakshi being present everywhere. I would not like to say Sakshi being present in space. The world being present in space and Sakshi being present everywhere, there is a big difference. So Sakshi tad deshagaha adhishthanam. So basically, Sakshi is the very locus of locus means adhishthanam. I am using that word for adhishthanam, a substratum, etc. Somehow I don't like that word. So Sakshi is a locus, you can say. And if you don't like, we can translate it in a adhishthanam rather than substratum, etc. Anyway, and then he gives a rule, tatha vastushu yojayet. Well, we have talked about the Sakshi and the space. I mean, we have given some understanding what is located in what, etc. Well, tatha, in the same manner, vastushu, all any other objects which are in the space you can take for any object and Sakshi, and you can apply in the same manner. So, tatha vastushu yojayet. So, this is means any other thing you can take, and it means you can extend it, and not only space, but you can take in any object also. So, Sakshi is along with the space, but not located in the space, but it is the Sakshi, I mean the space is located in the Sakshi. Same rule you can extend to every object also. So that's a Vidyaranya is giving as the homework, but then he said, no, 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 let me make it as a classwork. And so in 23rd verse he explains with the other objects also how what is located in what. This is very important because in Bhagavad Gita also these things occur. But Bhagavan has clarified it fortunately. Sarvabhutasthamaatmanam sarvani bhutani atmani etc. It keeps going. And regarding world also, what is that? Maya adhyakshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam, and then what is that? Anyway, if I remember, I will tell you. So verse 23, he explains that for other objects also, not only space. Yadyadrupa adikalpyeta buddhya tat prakashayan tasya bhavet sakshi sato bhag buddhya gochara. As I told you, he extends this previous rule which we said regarding space. So Sakshi is, what is that rule? Sakshi is along with the space because space shines. Space shines, therefore Sakshi is present there. So present there, therefore Sakshi is in the space. We may feel, no, not located in the space. So same way, imagine there is a pot now. So Sakshi is along with the pot. Pot shines? Yeah, pot shines. So Sakshi is along with the pot. Sakshi is not located in the pot. Sakshi is in fact the location of the pot along with the space. Because now you are taking object, so you have to take along with this space. So Sakshi is where the hall is. So but Sakshi is not located in the hall. The hall along with that space is located in Sakshi. May you grasp this clearly. Adhishthanam means lending existence. Other way, in Drishya Viveka, this is a different way of saying. Other way we said Asti Bhati Priyam Jaiva etc. Same thing. Asti, hall Asti. Adhishthanam is Sakshi. And hall shines on account of Sakshi. Same thing. Buddhya Rupadi Kalpyeta. Well, many objects would be experienced by the mind. Like what? Rupa Adi. So form, sound, this, etc.
And scoring defense, head coach Dan.
I thought in this group I may not have to mute all, but it compels me to mute. Anyway, so buddhya rupadi kalpeta. Many objects would be experienced by the mind. Kalpeta, very clearly Vidyaranya says that, projected by the mind. Rupa adi, form, sound, etc. But what does Sakshi do? That's a job of a buddhi, mind. But what does Sakshi do? Tat prakashayan Sakshi vartate. Revealing that object, Sakshi remains along with them. Just as, because any object shines, definitely shines on account of Sakshi. Like our sunlight, basically. The sunlight spreads on any object and revealing that object. Same way. But don't think of any physical light regarding this Sakshi. It's an example as a limitation. So, three things are there. Sakshi is along with the sense object, we can say. Then Sakshi is not located in sense object. And third is, Sakshi is a locus in which sense organs along with the space or sense objects along with the space is located. Swataha means from its own standpoint, from the Sakshi standpoint, Vak Buddhi Agochara. Sakshi cannot be described by any words from its own standpoint. Even Sakshi cannot be conceived as an object also. You can't say it is here, there, etc. or everywhere. Everywhere, what is everywhere we have understood very well now. So on the account, on the part of the student, when teacher says the Brahman is everywhere, Atma is everywhere, people try to locate in space everywhere. That fails. So that has been explained very beautifully. What is this everywhere? Wherever the space is, but Pujya Swami used to always do. I have seen him invariably doing this. Whenever he says this Atma is everywhere, immediately he he says, wherever the space shines, there the Atma shines. Wherever the space shines, there the Atma shines. And well, that indicates very well that because the space shines on account of the Sakshi, basically. And that's Adhishthanam. So we can say where the space is, well, consciousness of course is. And therefore, space resolves consciousness is, well, this proves that what is independent and what is dependent. And that is, you can understand. Simple equation is there. Space is, consciousness is. Space resolves, consciousness is. And therefore, consciousness is, in absence of space, means consciousness is spaceless, and therefore, basically, the existence of the space is in consciousness. Consciousness doesn't exist in space. Space is not a location. But we'll have to use word everywhere, etc., compromise answer, because nowhere, generally nowhere, that word brings a misconception of non-existence. So for Sakshi we cannot say it is here, there or everywhere. In fact, word Sakshi we can use when there is a space, time, etc. object. When all of them are resolved, even word Sakshi loses the its relevance, etc. We should not. Sakshi, when you say, definitely, when you say Sakshi means a witness. Witness of what? Witness of all this, time, space and everything. When they resolve, the word Sakshi also is not. Generally, of course, we use word Sakshi with respect to various thoughts of the mind. But ultimately, the whole thing is a projection of the mind, and a projection of the mind, and in form of all varieties of the thoughts. And all the thoughts are ultimately illumined by the Sakshi. So when even the mind resolves, you need not have to say, it's a witness consciousness. Consciousness is, of course, a different thing. Witness consciousness, when you say, definitely mind is present, all projection, etc., time, space, everything is present. And therefore, if they resolve, the word Sakshi also does not have any relevance there. So, word Sakshi is also a compromised description. Word Sakshi, in fact, can't be described by the Sakshi, by the word Sakshi. Okay. So, Sakshi cannot be described by the word Sakshi. It's just verse 24. Katham tadrung maya grahyah iti chenmaiva grihyatam sarvagrahopasam shantau swayameva vashishyate. Naturally, like you, maybe many of you, the student is totally disappointed. He thought he has come all the way to know the Sakshi, and this is kind of a thing which is going on, and therefore definitely he may say to a teacher that you cannot describe through words, not known through the mind, etc. Then please let me know how I know the Sakshi. Tadruk Sakshi, such Sakshi which is under discussion, Vak Buddhi Agocharaha. Agocharaha means Avishayah. So, which is not which cannot be described by the Vak, which cannot be projected, which cannot be objectified by the Buddhi. Katham Grahyaha, how will I know then? Iti chet, if you have this kind of a question, O student, Mata eva grhyata, better may you not attempt to know that. Leave an attempt to know the Sakshi. Because moment you know the Sakshi, I want to know the Sakshi, you are making Sakshi as a Prameya, and you want to be a Pramata. So it becomes one of the Triputi. Sakshi becomes not Adhishthanam of Triputi. When you want to know the Sakshi, Sakshi becomes a Prameya, so it becomes one of the Triputi, and definitely you want to know it as a Pramata. Sakshi is the very witness of the Triputi, different from Triputi. Well, so it cannot be, naturally it cannot be one of that Triputi. Whole Triputi is projected on this, on the Sakshi, by the mind. All the three basically are projection of the mind. The only Pramata is also mind. We have seen actually all this. Pramata, Pramanam, both are mind. And Prameya also, well, ultimately, through the Vritti Vyapti and Phala Vyapti, etc. So, And then the student may say, well, if I don't have if I don't attempt to know, well, how come Sakshi exists? How will I know that Sakshi exists? You said, well, to leave the attempt to know Sakshi. Okay, I'm leaving. But then how will I know that Sakshi exists? Then it says you don't attempt to know the Sakshi. Not that Sakshi doesn't exist, but Sakshi, is you, yourself. So when you become quiet, when you leave the attempt of knowing the Sakshi, still you are there, and that you is a Sakshi. So then student gets a doubt. Well, how can I claim that I am Sakshi? You said you leave the attempt to objectify Sakshi, to know the Sakshi. Okay, that's gone. Means then you say, well, now what is left is you, and that is you are Sakshi. But how will I know that Sakshi exists when I become silent? So basically, how can I claim I am a Sakshi? Well, that's a doubt. I am a Pramata, basically, who is operating a Pramana and knowing this Prameya. So, as a listener of even this class also, I am a listener, I am Pramata. So when will I claim that I am Sakshi? Because you said you give up the attempt, and then I give up the attempt, well, then the Tripuri will definitely resolve, and that what is left is me. But how will I claim that I am Sakshi? You say you are Sakshi, but how will I claim? So Vidyarthi says you are by nature, you are a Sakshi, temporarily functioning as a Pramata, identifying with the mind, and using a Pramana, and know the various Prameya, various objects. So in beginning itself in chapter 10, we defined this Pramata, Pramanam, Pramema, etc. So originally you are a Sakshi, and you have got a temporary status as a Pramata. If you drop, why temporary status? In a waking state. In a deep sleep state, you don't have that status. In a dream state also you have Pramata status. But in a deep sleep state, you don't have it. Therefore, it's a temporary status. So if you drop that status, Pramata status, well, you are a Sakshi. So Sarvagraha Upasamshantau, Sarvograha Upasamshantau. So Satyam means it's a Sati Saptami. When all knowing operations subsides, then, well, what is left, I am, without that knowing operation, is this Sakshi. Knowing operation comes, all the three comes, naturally. And other things are all right, no problem. Knowing operation comes first, very important is knower arises. And knower arises, Pramata arises, well, leaving aside that Sakshi. You identify with that Pramata. That's it. That's how we do. In a state, this is, any ignorant person never says that I am knowledge with an incidental status of a knower. No one says. I am a knower, that's a reality. Do you think any other reality is there which is hidden behind this knower? No. I am a knower. I am an individual who is knower, who is seer, listener. That's my reality. So therefore, I am minus this knowing operation, means definitely Pramata will not be there. That's a Sakshi. Without Pramanam, where is Pramata, etc. And therefore, Pramanam also is not. So that's how it says, in silence you are a Sakshi. You abide not as a Pramata, but as a Sakshi. Then student asks, well, how do I know that I am there as a Sakshi? Still he is trying to understand it. So verse 25 says that, न तत्र मानापेक्षास्ति स्वप्रकाशस्वरूपतः तादृग्व्युत्पत्त्यपेक्षा चेत् श्रुतिं पठगुरोर्मुखात्. So in silence, Vidyaranya says, well, when knowing process is halted, you remain as a non-knowing principle, without knower status, as Sakshi. Then student is asking question, what is the Pramana to know that I am there in silence as a Sakshi? Without knowing operation, that's in the state of silence. What is the Pramanam to know that I am there in the silence as a Sakshi? So Vidyaranya says, in silence there, that I am there does not require any proof at all. That I continue to be there when I am silent also, means without knowing operation, well, it is accepted by everybody. It is accepted by everybody that I continue to be there in a suspension of a knowing process. I continue to be there. Well, nobody asks for the proof. No, so it is accepted by everybody. Nobody says, well, during this silence means you can understand here, sushupti, well, I'm a non-existent, etc. And after silence, I am born. Nobody says like this. Nobody has a doubt regarding that existence of oneself in deep sleep state, silence, etc. So whatever is accepted without proof, that is Swayam Prakasha. Whatever is accepted without proof, without pramana, well, that is Swayam Prakasha. Mana dhina meya siddhi. Manam pramana. That's what he has used word mana peksha. You will be seeing that manam and pramanam are same thing. So pra you add and therefore nakara becomes nakara. That's a rule. So pramanam. So pramana dhina prameya siddhi. So siddhi, the proof of this any object is well based on using a pramana. Otherwise, how will you prove any prameya is there? And therefore, if a total knowing process is halted, the pramana is not there, pramata is not there, prameya is not there. Very knowing doesn't take. There is no knowing at all. There is no knowing at all in the state of that silence. Knowing process is halted, yet you are there. That no one denies. In a deep sleep state, you are there, no one denies. So without knowing process, you are there that you know. How? Only one way. That you may be of the nature which doesn't require a proof to be revealed. That's it. That's called Swayam Prakasha. So you are there very much that you know without using any means of knowledge, right? So in a state of silence, means in deep sleep state, etc., means definitely you are a self-evident. So that I am there in silence, well, is accepted without proof. And if I am not there in silence, then I can't talk about silence. There is a state of silence, no knowing takes place in deep sleep state, that also you know. And therefore, you are very much aware of it, and therefore you are self-revealing without any means of knowledge. You don't require any means of knowledge. That's the only thing. The whole world requires a means of knowledge. Either it could be a pratyaksha which is based on a sakshi, either it is a indriya pratyaksha, or it could be a paroksha, maybe requiring inference, etc. Whole world, including space and time, are basically revealed by the sakshi directly, we know. And therefore it is sakshi pratyaksha, and any other thing. All your emotions are sakshi pratyaksha, your hunger, thirst are sakshi pratyaksha, and any other, the body, etc., you are seeing, etc., you can say indriya pratyaksha, and your memory is sakshi pratyaksha. What else? So ignorance, knowledge, everything is sakshi pratyaksha. And the entire world outside, of course, is a indriya pratyaksha, and part of the world is a pratyaksha, and the majority is a paroksha. You have to infer, or if you use inference, you will come to know. Well, all this is ultimately needs proof, either inference, either pratyaksha perception, etc. So, but I am there in suspension of the entire knowing process, where you are not using any, your pramada itself is not there. Pramada is not there. There is a question of a pramana which is wielded by that pramata. If pramata is not there, pramana also is not there. Pramata arises first, which wields a pramana in order to know any prameya. And therefore, basically, if entire knowing process is halted, no pramana is there, then how will I know I am there? But you know. No one asks. I was not there in deep sleep state. Nobody says. Therefore, it must be self-revealing. It doesn't require pramana. That's a big thing. Anything which is self-evident is self-existent. The criteria for an existence of anything is a knowability. So any knowability. Criteria for an existence of anything is knowability. But Swamiji, thousands of things I don't know. Then, well, therefore, do you think they don't exist? You say the criteria for existence is a knowability, then thousands of things I don't know, yet they exist. That's what you know. You know them as that you are ignorant of them. Ultimately, you know, like a black hole exists. Swamiji, but I don't know the black hole exists. But black hole exists, that much you know. You don't know the detail perhaps. Without knowability, try to prove the existence of anything. It's impossible. Without getting illumined by the consciousness, knowability means there is one thing, only one thing, and that is you. Doesn't need, well, to use any means, doesn't require to be revealed by any means of knowledge. Very pramata is not required. And therefore this kind of a question, often I want to experience Brahman. Instead of knowing, well, I want to experience Brahman, is a totally useless thing. That day will never come. Even after many janmas, you experience Brahman. Brahman being whole. There is a question of if whole is there, you are included, you should know you are whole. That's it. There is only one way to know the whole. If whole is a whole, a partless whole, then definitely you also should claim, I am whole. You cannot be away from the whole. A whole without you is having a whole. H-O-L-E. Please understand this. Whole means once, and being a whole, partless whole, once you understand, then well, I have to understand Jagat. It is understood. It is understood. Ishvara is understood. Jagat is understood if you understand yourself as a whole. Because it's not a part. And therefore, that is why there is always a pratignya in the Shastra that yena vijnanena sarvamidam vijnatam bhavati tad vijnanam asti. By knowing one thing, you know everything. Because it is whole. There are no parts. Ishvara, one part is Ishvara, one other part is Jagat, and you are a third part. It's not. Anything which has a parts cannot be whole. Anything which has a parts cannot be whole. Whole must be partless, including time and space. Everything is one thing alone. That's called non-duality. Just one thing. There are no parts. All the parts at the level of a vyavara, that's fine. Behind that there is one whole. There is no connection, etc. Please no. There is no connecting everything. Swamiji, one thing is there. That's not perfect, because the whole is a whole that has no connection. It is asanga, and therefore all these words create a lot of issue. There is no connection between satyam and mithya. There is no sambandha at all. There is one thing alone, and that is you, or that is whole. That's a non-dual Brahman. So tatra, with respect to this existence of myself in silence, etc., in state, deep sleep state, etc., manapeksha nasti. Well, manapeksha, the need of any manam pramanam is not there. Everybody accepts this fact without asking for any proof. So it is true with respect to state of silence, but with respect to Sushupti also. Nobody asks for the proof of existence of oneself in deep sleep state. Nobody asks. If anyone asks, definitely he is an abnormal person. Nobody basically asks for the proof of existence of oneself in deep sleep state. Right? Where all the pramanas are suspended. The very pramata is suspended. And you don't see other than yourself something else. You know, if pramanam is not there, where is the question of an prameya? The whole triputi has gone. The whole knowing process has gone. Yet you know you are there. Means you definitely are self-revealing and self-existent. Where the time is not there, you exist. Where the space is not there, you exist. It's over. It's over. There is no death. There is no death. There is no limit. You exist in space. You exist without space. What is your dimension? You exist without time. Where is the limit of time for you? No birth. Ajo nitya shashvatoyam purana. Najayate mriyate va kadachit. So many Bhagavan said in Bhagavad Gita. There is no death unless you identify with the body and suffer. There is no death. When you say I am a subject to birth and death, etc., at that time also you are not. It's purely your own projection upon yourself. One has to correct one's own perception. The reality is something different. One doesn't perceive the reality as it is. One perceives the reality based upon one's own, all this error. That is the issue. So anyway, so definitely if I would not be there, if I would not be there in a Sushupti, then I would not talk about Sushupti. But you know very well, Sushupti, you talk about your Sushupti, means you are very much there to it. So definitely no proof is required for revealing oneself. Then student asks in question, okay, in silence this Triputi and time and space and etc. is dissolved. I am Sakshi, very much there in silence. But how do I know that I is a Sakshi of that Triputi? He keeps on asking question. Well, that I am there in silence, I know. But I as a Sakshi of that Triputi is there. How will I know? Vidyaranya says Shastra is meant for that. Shrutim Patha. So Shastra is meant for that. You obtain in that silence in Sushupti. Well, is not one of the Triputi. When Triputi resolves, you are very much there. Therefore, you are distinct from Triputi. But you are distinct from Triputi. That is very clear. So, you learn through the Shastra. And that is called Sakshi. Which is distinct from Triputi is called Sakshi. Sakshi of Triputi you can say. Tadruk Vyutpatti Apeksha Chet. This knowledge, I am there in silence and I am distinct from the Triputi. Sakshi of Triputi, you should get it from Shastra alone. Tadruk Vyutpatti. Vyutpatti means that's a knowledge, the clarity. So such a clarity of knowledge, Tadruk, such a clarity of knowledge, if you have apeksha, if you want to really know, Shrutim Patha. So definitely study the Shastra, Guru or Mukhat, through the tradition, definitely. The knowledge, one can become a scholar of Vedanta, you don't need a traditional teacher. But if you want a knowledge, of yourself, definitely you don't want to be a scholar, but you want to know yourself. You want a freedom ultimately centered on you, then definitely you need a traditional teacher. Because teacher does nothing else. Teacher talks about himself. If teacher has understood the matter, subject matter, then teacher is revealing himself to you. That's a tradition. People ask, where will I go? How will I select a teacher? And how will I know that he knows this? Well, if he has understood the subject matter, then he is revealing himself to you. Then you can understand. And if you are understanding what he is saying, that's it. He is qualified. The teacher is qualified. So basically, Shruti is not meant to know the Sakshi, we should know. But Shruti is, definitely to help me the claim that what obtains in this Sushupti is this Sakshi alone. Why Shruti is not meant to know the Sakshi? Sakshi is self-revealing. Shruti doesn't reveal Sakshi. What is self-revealed cannot be revealed even by the Shruti. But definitely, what is there in that state of silence, in a deep sleep state, etc., is the Sakshi. That much has been said by the Shastra. And that Sakshi is equated with the Brahman, so that is Brahman also is been said. And we'll stop here. Now, one more question is there, and I think this chapter will be over. And also, I will talk about a little summary also of that chapter. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.